Hello, welcome to Anna Gardner, the creation of a bronze sculpture from clay model to finished bronze. My name is Victoria Guarina, and I will take you through the process of creating a bronze sculpture. I was asked by the Nantucket Historical Association to create a bust of Anna Gardner. She was born on Nantucket Island to a Quaker family in 1816 and died there in 1901. She was a teacher, writer, abolitionist, and women's rights activist. She taught free and enslaved children at the African school on Nantucket Island, and later she taught freedmen in North Carolina. Her activism in women's rights included campaigning for women's suffrage. There are few photographs of Anna, but the NHA provided some that I used to develop a visual concept. I've included here an overview of the process we'll be discussing, known as the lost wax method of bronze casting. Starting with the clay sculpture, a rubber mold, a wax version of the original, a ceramic mold of the wax pattern, melting the wax, pouring the bronze, the patina, and preparation of the base for mounting the sculpture. The clay sculpture is our beginning. I used a wood and metal armature, and here you can see I blocked in the basic shape of the head in clay. In the lower right of the screen is one of the few photographs of Anna Gardner available that I used as a reference. Notice the heart-shaped pin that she received from her students at the African school. I spent several months working on a likeness of Anna and refining the clay work, including the high pleated collar, the heart pin on Anna's right shoulder, and her distinctive hairstyle. When the clay sculpture was completed, I began the casting process by creating a rubber mold. This is done by covering the entire clay sculpture with silicone rubber, taking care that all detail is covered and minimizing air pockets. The blue color is added to every other layer of rubber, ensuring that each layer is completely covered and no areas are missed. A thin metal shim is inserted around the mold to separate it into front and back pieces so that it can be removed from the clay. This process takes several days as each layer must set before the next is applied. The rubber is able to capture all the detail of the clay sculpture, but it is flexible and needs a rigid support to retain its overall shape. This is done by creating a plaster and burlap mother mold over the rubber. It is also separated into front and back pieces by the shim line so that it can be removed. Once the plaster is set, the mother mold is separated at the shim line and removed from the rubber mold underneath. Then the rubber mold is separated at the shim line and removed from the clay sculpture. Here is the finished rubber mold with front and back pieces resting in their respective mother mold sections. It is ready to go to the foundry. The original clay and armature are no longer needed, and they can be reused for other projects. At the foundry, a wax replica of the clay sculpture is created called the pattern. This is done by fastening the two halves of the rubber and plaster mold together and pouring hot wax into and out of the mold until a 1/8 inch coating is achieved. When the wax cools, it is removed from the mold and the surface is inspected and any imperfections corrected. We now have the hollow wax replica of the original clay sculpture. This pattern will be prepared in the next steps for its transformation into bronze. The next step is adding sprues to the pattern. As you can see in this diagram, sprues are wax blocks attached to the inside of the pattern. When they are melted, they will leave open channels, allowing liquid bronze to flow quickly and evenly to all parts of the ceramic mold. Making the ceramic mold is the next step. The ceramic mold or shell will be created covering all surfaces of the sprued pattern. These are photos of a different wax pattern from a different sculpture, but the process is the same. The pattern is dipped into a ceramic slurry and then dusted with silicone stucco sand. Each layer dries before the next is applied, up to 10 layers or so. This process can take several weeks to complete. I included this schematic diagram to demonstrate how the mold is created over the wax pattern, sprues, and pouring cup. All of the wax parts are connected within the ceramic mold. Before the next step, the ceramic at the top of the pouring cup is removed. When the layers of the ceramic mold have dried, it is placed in a furnace hot enough to fire the ceramic and melt out the wax, hence the name lost wax method. On the right you see a photo of the furnace with tubs of melted wax underneath. On the left is a schematic diagram showing the fired ceramic shell and the empty space where the wax used to be. Now the ceramic mold is ready to be filled with bronze. The liquid bronze at 2000 degrees Fahrenheit is introduced into the pouring cup, and it distributes throughout the ceramic mold by way of the sprue channels. Here is another schematic diagram representing the ceramic mold after the bronze has been poured, showing that all areas that were once wax are now bronze. The sprues and pouring cup will be removed once the bronze cools. What was once the wax pattern is now the bronze sculpture. After several days, the bronze is cooled, the ceramic shell is chiseled off, and then the bronze is sandblasted to remove all particles of ceramic. On the left is the raw bronze sculpture that is an exact replica of the original clay sculpture. It has been chased by removing the sprues and the pouring cup from the inside and correcting any imperfections on the surface. On the right, Dan is welding a small bronze plate to the front rim of the sculpture for mounting to the base. The patina of the bronze is created by heating the metal and applying various chemical solutions to achieve the desired color. Finally, a paste wax is applied to the warm metal to protect the surface and enhance the color. When the bronze is cooled, it is ready to be mounted on the base. I chose a black granite base for this bust, and here you can see it being drilled in preparation for mounting the sculpture. Then the sculpture bust will be completed. Here is the final sculpture. It is our hope that this image of Anna Gardner will remind us of her sacrifices, the work she did to educate and integrate Black students, to promote equality and equity for all citizens, and to inspire us as a role model. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration of creating a bronze sculpture. I would like to especially thank the Nantucket Historical Association for this commission, Amanda Cross for her generous funding, and Sincere Metalworks in Amesbury, Massachusetts for their work and permission to photograph the process. To see more of my artwork, please visit my website at www.victoriaguarina.com.